You're listening to the official Reformed Stoic podcast, covering politics, philosophy, theology, conspiracy theories. I'm ready to get to the bottom of this life. Are you? Join Wolfgang, Sketty Squad, Purity Gang, as we strive to take dominion over this dying planet. I am Reformed Stoic, and this is my podcast. I'm alive, baby! Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Another day of the podcast. Last one for the week. How is the gang today? It's really wholesome to call you guys a gang, bro. Sometimes I feel like the government doesn't feel that way. Let's go. We're not really a gang. Or are we? We're not. We're not. Just a little PSA. All right. Let's get it going, gang. Friends. Carved up as always, man. I had another one of my pineapple shakes. Feeling like $1,000,000. I think I threw together a very humble Friday show for you this evening. Basically just going to see what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. I feel like we haven't covered that this week, so let's go ahead and stay up. Stay in the loop. And then we're going to take a little look at well-being. Let's be well, my friends. Let's relax. I think I'm going to be having a quiet weekend as far as streams goes. And I just wish calmness and well-being on all of you. It certainly has been an interesting last couple of years. And I think we need to start looking out for ourselves, boyos. We need to start thinking about what's important as far as mental well-being goes. Because there's some of this stuff is just crazy making, man. I tell you what. So without further ado, let's kick off the news segment. You're listening to the Reformed Stoic News segment. Let's go! Righto, my friends, righto. All right, let's get it started, guys. First up, we have Russian attacks on Ukraine's power grid leave 4.5 million without power. Yikes.
Now to the war in Ukraine, where President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia's attacks on his country's power grid have left 4.5 million people in the dark.
Meanwhile, the threat of nuclear weapons being used in Ukraine still looms. Today, Chinese President Xi Jinping and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz condemned Russia's threats to use nuclear weapons. The two leaders met in China. While Xi fell short of condemning the war and calling on Russia to withdraw troops, he did say he opposes both the use and threat of nuclear weapons. Scholz said Russia risks crossing a line if it resorts to nuclear force.
Joining us with more from Kryvyi Rih, Ukraine, is CBS News foreign correspondent Holly Williams. Welcome, Holly. So this week, G7 leaders discussed how to protect Ukraine's critical energy infrastructure. With winter approaching quickly, has there been any definitive movement on a plan? And what are Ukrainian authorities doing in the meantime?
Hey, Elaine and Meg. Well, the G7 countries, and that obviously includes the US, have agreed to cooperate to support the reconstruction of Ukraine's critical infrastructure. Now, we don't know exactly what that means, whether it's hardware, software, engineers. What we do know is that recent Russian strikes have done enormous damage to Ukrainian critical infrastructure, including damaging 40% of its power system, according to Ukrainian officials. We should also point out, though, that Ukrainians seem to be doing a good job of kind of patching together their damaged critical infrastructure. For example, earlier this week in Kyiv, the capital, officials said that 85% of the city was without water, but within a day, the city had water again. Last month, we also spoke with the mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, and we asked him about planning for a worst case scenario because, as you say, the winter here is extremely harsh. Now, he wouldn't be drawn on what that worst case scenario was, but he said that they're planning kind of communal points with heating and we assume electricity if people don't have that in their own homes. The other thing is that Ukrainian officials have urged refugees, people who've fled the country because of the war, not to come home during the winter because that will put an added burden on the power grid and other infrastructure.
Wow, 85% without water. I'm glad to hear that was restored. Holly, let's turn to the looming battle over Kherson. There are reports Kremlin-backed authorities are evacuating while Russian troops remain. What is Russia's plan here, and how are people who are still in the city responding?
So the Kherson region is strategically key for the Russians and for the Ukrainians. It connects Crimea, the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia seized, annexed illegally back in 2014, with other areas in eastern Ukraine along the Russian border, which Russia is also occupying. So it would be a major loss for the Russians. The authorities in Kherson, which have been appointed by Moscow, have already evacuated civilians from the city, and in recent days they apparently also evacuated the administration, government officials, ahead of an expected Ukrainian counteroffensive. Now, in terms of what life has been like under occupation in Kherson, anecdotally, we've heard stories of killings, of disappearances, of looting. We can't independently confirm it, but it's certainly consistent with what we've heard in other areas that have been under Russian occupation. Ukraine says, though, that more Russian troops have actually arrived in Kherson. So Russian forces do not appear to be withdrawing, and this seems as if it's going to be a major battle, perhaps even a decisive battle in this conflict.
And Holly, you reconnected with one Ukrainian man we met at the start of the war. What did he tell you?
Yeah, this was fascinating. So back in March, really just after the invasion, we met Private Andriy Regalsky, who had just quit his job as a crane operator and signed up, had a couple of weeks basic training, and we met him on a bus as he went to the front line. I was very worried that we would never see him again because this has been, a very deadly conflict. However, he's survived. We kept in touch by text message. He would send videos of where he was fighting, and we met up with him yesterday in a town not that far from here. He's been wounded. He took a shrapnel wound in his leg since we last saw him, been through rehab, been back to the front line. He said to us, and this is a direct quote, "I've seen death, I've seen combat, I've seen sadness, I've seen joy." He wanted to take us to a town called Vysokopilia, which is not far from here. It was under Russian occupation for nearly 6 months, and he battled to help liberate it. The town is really shattered at this point after 6 months of Russian occupation. We met an elderly lady in Vysokopilia, a lady named Nadia. She was so happy to meet one of the soldiers who had helped liberate her town. She said, "I want to bow to Ukrainian soldiers. We're so proud of them." Now, Private Andriy Regalsky lit up on hearing her words. And he said that was really the whole reason that he'd signed up. He said, "I heard a call from the heart. I want to help people. I want to liberate people."
So glad to hear he's okay.
So touching, too, to have her be able to thank him. Holly Williams, thank you so much.
All right, just seems like a steady escalation, at least in the narrative. After U.S. special weapons support, Ukraine needs blankets. We can independently verify, but I'll just go ahead and say it anyways. Oh, we can't independently verify. I am genuinely surprised at how well the Ukrainian people are handling this unjustified invasion of their homeland. I hope this conflict ends soon and that they can rebuild homes and lives in peace. Absolutely, that's what I hope for as well. Moving on. New intel on Russia nuclear weapon use in Ukraine. Quick one.
We're concerned about any discussion by a modern nuclear power of the potential use for nuclear weapons.
Some U.S. officials have heightened concern that Russia could use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. That's following an assessment from the National Intelligence Council. It suggests Russia's military leaders have been discussing what might prompt such a strike, according to multiple people who've read it. But the analysis is not raw intelligence or a high-confidence product.
We've seen no indication that the Russian military is making any kind of preparations for this kind of use.
Some officials believe the analysis takes conversations out of context. Others are more concerned.
It might not be just a demonstration strike in the ocean or something like this, but they might actually be used to achieve a battlefield impact.
In a statement, Russia said it only used nuclear weapons in response to an attack threatening the existence of its country. Russia illegally annexed parts of Ukraine this year. It could try to argue defending that area would fit its doctrine, says retired General Wesley Clark.
You'd wait for the Ukrainians to concentrate their forces, and then you'd fire a pulse of these weapons out across several miles.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Is interesting voice that she had. Well, good thing American intel has never been catastrophically wrong about WMDs before. Ukraine concentrates their forces. It's about time someone dummied up to Putin's devious plans. So despite the title, this video is in fact clickbait. Super. Yeah, just more fuel for the flames of that narrative. Nuclear weapons. We'll see what happens. I certainly hope that nobody uses nuclear weapons. I hope everything just goes to normal, man. Don't we all? Don't we all just want everything to go back to normal? I'm starting to feel like that's not an option, though. CNN. Analyst says this may be why Putin is targeting Ukraine's power system. Let's figure it out.
Point in Ukraine is expected soon, with Ukraine's counteroffensive now not far from Kherson, the first major city to fall to Russia days after the invasion and the only major Ukrainian city still under Russian occupation. For the past few days, the city's main administrative building has stopped flying the Russian flag. A flagpole with no flag has raised questions about a possible Russian retreat. So to talk of a troop withdrawal on Russian media from Kremlin-appointed city leaders, tens of thousands of civilians have been evacuated from the city and surrounding areas. And while Russian troops have been digging in and fortifying defensive positions, there's been no sign of a mass troop pullout from the region. All of this raising Ukrainian suspicions that perhaps the Russians have laid the groundwork for an ambush. And right now it seems the Russians are waiting for the harsh, cold temperatures of the coming months. The EU foreign policy chief referred to general winter coming to help Putin and his beleaguered army. Ongoing airstrikes have damaged or destroyed around 40% of Ukraine's electricity infrastructure. Millions have been left without electricity, and rolling blackouts are now part of daily life. While G7 nations have promised to help Ukraine survive a brutally cold winter from a Russian assault the EU foreign policy chief said was a war crime.
They are destroying the country systematically. They are bombing, destroying civil infrastructure. Millions of Ukrainians have no longer access to electricity. And what Putin is willing to do is to put the country in the darkness in the wintertime. This is a war crime.
As for Kherson, residents there have told CNN they've seen nothing to indicate Russian troops are leaving en masse. The fate of their city is both strategically and politically crucial to both sides. A Russian retreat would be yet another major blow to Vladimir Putin. Pushing back a Ukrainian counteroffensive could give the Russians time to regroup and rearm. David Sanger is a CNN political and national security analyst. He also covers the White House and national security for the New York Times. In his spare time, he writes books like The Perfect Weapon. And right now he is in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Thanks for being with us.
Great to be with you.
Okay, so there's near constant wave after wave of Russian attacks on soft targets like Ukraine's power stations and water pumping plants. It's really starting to bite, and it's not even winter yet. Listen to President Zelensky. Here he is.
As of this evening, about 4.5 million energy consumers have been temporarily disconnected from consumption, according to emergency and stabilization schedules. Enduring Russian energy terror and passing such a test is our national task, one of the main ones now.
Yeah, keeping everyone together during winter when the average daytime temperature in December, January and February in Ukraine is freezing, 0 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit. So, Putin is committing terrorism on a scale not seen since World War II in many ways. So what does success look like to him? How does he know this has worked?
Well, John, first of all, think about the number that you heard there from President Zelensky. He suggested that it was well over 4 million, so more than 10% of the country's population before the war started. And we know that millions, of course, fled the country, went to Poland, went to Romania, went elsewhere. And so what it's telling you is that Putin is trying to start another flood of refugees into Europe during the winter. He's going to try to freeze out those who remain. This is a strategy for somebody who does not have a plan or a strategy for taking the country over. So it's purely freeze them out. A lot of people will die, elderly, young people, people who just get hypothermia. I've been in Ukraine during the winter. It is, as you say, pretty bloody cold. And this is the strategy of somebody who is, as Zelensky said, decided to conduct a terror campaign that fits atop the military campaign.
Yeah, it is shameless, it is brutal, it's cowardly, everything and then some. And with winter coming, Ukraine's government has urged those Ukrainians who fled, the millions who fled, actually to stay outside the country, to stay put where they are. And there are a lot of Ukrainians who are now refugees. Here's the UN High Commissioner for Refugees.
The Russian invasion of Ukraine has driven the fastest and largest displacement witnessed in decades. Ukrainians are about to face one of the world's harshest winters in extremely difficult circumstances. Humanitarian organizations have dramatically scaled up their response, but much more must be done, starting with an end to this senseless war.
Well, there's one person who can end the war, and that's Vladimir Putin, and he won't. So in the meantime, there's this incredible need for humanitarian assistance for Ukraine over the coming months. Is that a much easier ask for the EU to supply humanitarian assistance, to get the stuff that they need? Or is there such a drain now that even that could be difficult?
I think it's an easier ask, but the fact of the matter is that there's no amount of aid that they could provide that will necessarily get the heat rolling again or the electricity back on in the middle of the winter in Ukraine. The aid they're going to need to take on, my guess is taking in more refugees. I think you're going to see a significant outflow again, just as you did during the original invasion, which was in late February.
And Putin is doing this. He's targeting civilians because he's losing on the battlefield and could soon lose control of the Russian-occupied city of Kherson. Here's an assessment from the US Secretary for Defense.
On the issue of whether or not the Ukrainians can take the remaining territory on the west side of the Dnieper River in Kherson, I certainly believe that they have the capability to do that. Most importantly, the Ukrainians believe that they have the capability to do that.
Is this battle for the city of Kherson shaping up to be one of the biggest and bloodiest that they've seen so far?
It's a little hard to tell at the remove that we are at right now, and it looks like the Russians are doing sort of a slow withdrawal. There appears to have been some difference of opinion within the Russian leadership about whether to give up Kherson. The withdrawal that we're seeing looks like it's to the other side of the river, but that doesn't mean that Russian forces would disappear from the region entirely. But, we're caught in the same paradox that you and I discussed a few nights ago, John, which is the worse the Russians do on the battlefield, the more they are tempted either to turn to terror techniques like the ones we've been discussing, targeting the infrastructure, turn to cyber, or perhaps turn to nuclear, the issue that we were worried about so much a few weeks ago when Russian officials were calling their American and European counterparts and charging that the Ukrainians were about to set off a dirty bomb. So that's the situation we find ourselves in the winter. It's hard to sort of believe that we're going to see serious negotiations this winter, because Zelensky has been pretty clear that he's winning and doesn't see a need to reach an agreement that would allow the Russians to hold territory.
Yeah, this is going to grind on, it seems, and it's going to get worse and worse, as you say, for the civilians in particular, which is obviously the worst situation we could be in. David, thank you. David Sanger, CNN political national security analyst. Thank you, sir.
Great to be with you.
Okay. Yeah, we're just like a bunch of boomers at a barber shop watching the news in silence, smoking cigars, being cozy. We're just like a bunch of boomers watching the news. And then I have a couple of comments. Every now and then one of them who's smoking a cigar and getting his hair cut is like, that damn Wolf Blitzer, he's a criminal. And then everybody's like, yep, uh-huh, yep. Sometimes I have commentary, sometimes I don't. Bottom line is I'm allowed to watch the news on my stream. Even if it is a grift, it's a grift, baby, whatever. It's a solid grift. It's a respectable grift. I really don't have much to say about the war, other than I feel like the depopulation machine is on. And, everybody gets triggered when I say that. We covered Malthusianism last podcast. I feel like they want war and disease and drug addicts, and it's not a bad time to just get cozy and take care of yourselves, guys. Drink lots of vitamin C. We're about to get to this section on well-being. I think it's much needed. There's one problem. Ukraine is not attacking Moscow this winter. It's the only way around. You'd think Putin would see the difference. Does Putin think the Ukrainians have never experienced cold winters or harsh conditions? Yeah, a lot of people losing their power. They say 4.5 million lost power. That's some shit, dude. It's hard to be cozy when you don't have power. I don't want to lose my power. I'm too cozy with my power. All right. Quick article here, exclusive from CNN Politics. Iran is seeking Russia's help to bolster its nuclear program, U.S. intel officials believe. Iran is seeking Russia's help to bolster its nuclear program, U.S. intelligence officials believe, as Tehran looks for a backup plan should a lasting nuclear deal with world powers fail to materialize. The intelligence suggests that Iran has been asking Russia for help acquiring additional nuclear materials and with nuclear fuel fabrication. Sources briefed on the matter said the fuel could help Iran power its nuclear reactors and could potentially further shorten Iran's so-called breakout time to create a nuclear weapon. Experts emphasized to CNN, however, that the nuclear proliferation risk varies depending on which reactor the fuel is used for. And it is also not clear whether Russia has agreed to help. The Kremlin has long been outwardly opposed to Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon. But the Iranian proposal has come amid an expanding partnership between Iran and Russia that in recent months has included Iran sending drones and other equipment to Russia for use in its war in Ukraine, and Moscow potentially advising Tehran on how to suppress a protest movement sweeping Iran, U.S. officials said. Iran has said its nuclear program is only for peaceful purposes and that it formally halted its weapons program. But U.S. officials have stated that Iran's uranium enrichment activities have gone far beyond the parameters of the 2015 nuclear deal and that the amount of time it would take for Iran to produce enough fissile material for a nuclear weapon has shortened to just months. In June, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned lawmakers that Iran's nuclear program is galloping forward. The longer this goes on, the more the breakout time gets down. It's now down, by public reports, to a few months at best. And if this continues, it will get down to a matter of weeks. The Biden administration is watching any new areas of cooperation between Iran and Russia with concern. Any covert Russian assistance to Iran that could boost Iranian efforts to produce a nuclear weapon would also mark a significant shift in Russian policy. Given Russia's membership of the P5+1 group of countries that have been part of the negotiations to stymie Iran's nuclear program. As we have said, the JCPOA is not on the agenda. National Security Council spokesperson Adrian West told CNN, to the formal name for the Iran nuclear deal, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. We have been working with partners to expose the growing ties between Iran and Russia and hold them accountable. We will be firm in countering any cooperation that would be counter to our non-proliferation goals. The Iranian mission to the UN and the Russian Foreign Ministry did not return request for comment. All right. Boy, I thought this was shorter than this. We'll read this for a couple more minutes. Ukraine alleged Iran is seeking help from Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky suggested last week that Iran was looking to Russia for help with its nuclear program in exchange for the military assistance it has given to Moscow. But the intelligence obtained by the U.S. does not indicate the existence of an explicit quid pro quo, sources said. Instead, Iran's overtures to Russia appear at least partly motivated by a belief among senior Iranian officials that a new nuclear deal either won't be revived or, if it is, won't last. Sources briefed on the intelligence told CNN that Iran's concerns appeared most acute over the summer, as it appeared to be closing in on a new nuclear deal with the U.S. and other world powers known as the P5+1, a group that includes Russia. Iran's fear was that a future administration might pull out of a deal as the Trump administration did in 2018. So it sought a side deal with Russia that would allow it to reconstitute its nuclear program quickly if necessary. CNN has previously reported that Iran sought guarantees from the U.S. that a future administration would not renege on the deal, a promise that U.S. said it could not make. Asked whether the growing Iran-Russia partnership was a factor in the nuclear deal talks getting derailed, a senior administration official told CNN, obviously side deals between Russia that fundamentally undermined the structure of the 2015 agreement would be a serious concern and further reduce the possibility of a return to the agreement. The official declined to comment specifically on intelligence assessments. All right, let's go ahead and get to the next topic, guys. Pretty standard stuff. So what is well-being? This is a quick 2-minute introduction from Multi-Comfort UK, giving the small channel some love here. What's Hoodie with well-being? Let's find out.
What is well-being? Well-being is often described as the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy.
Let's go!
People who enjoy high levels of well-being are described as flourishing. In this context, flourishing means that the person enjoys feelings of happiness, contentment, and curiosity, and is able to engage fully with what is going on around them. Flourishing also means functioning well in the world. The person experiences positive relationships, has some control over their life, and has a sense of purpose. Well-being, therefore, isn't simply the opposite of ill-being. Just looking at what causes distress won't necessarily help us to identify the factors that give rise to well-being. Many researchers in the field have worked over many years to be able to more closely define well-being, with many agreeing that it is a global assessment of a person's quality of life, according to his or her own chosen criteria. The World Health Organization agreed that this is a broad-ranging concept, affected in a complex way by the person's physical health, psychological state, personal beliefs, social relationships, and their relationship to features of their environment. Understanding the role of our environments, and in particular our built environment, is an important area of research, as we spend up to 90% of our time either inside buildings or vehicles. If we can design and construct buildings that improve our well-being, why wouldn't we?
Alright. Well, man, isn't that World Health Organization symbol creepy? It's got the freaking snake. What is that called? The catechus? Wow, it's like, it's got the flat earth and a target, and then it's got the catechus with a serpent over it. Wow, that's lovely. World Health Organization. Well, one of the things that you're going to find here, one of the patterns, is that you're well integrated into society, well connected to people around. And a lot of us are just not going to be rocking that way these days. Tons of guys out there who don't have friends anymore, for the most part. A lot of people are isolated. And then a lot of people, what brings well-being is opting out of the capitalist rat race as much as they can. But that's just a few introductionary thoughts to that from me. Increasing your personal well-being is the most important thing a person can do for themselves, family, and community. Yeah, and you know what I've been thinking, guys, is like as the world system comes crashing down and is replaced with a new system, as the New World Order approaches, we should really be focusing on our own well-being. Whilst we improve ourselves, whilst we study, it's all a part of self-improvement. Just, feeling good throughout the day. A lot of people accuse me of like being miserable all the time, and that's really just not the case, guys, and that's why I'm always shilling comfiness around here. A lot of people love to say, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. I think there's some growth that happens inside of your comfort zone, and at the very least, you need to know how to be comfy. Like when it's time to be comfy, you should be optimal comfy. We need to figure out how to be happy, guys, no matter what's going on, because I don't think things are just de-escalating anytime soon. All right, let's keep treading on here. We might have a short podcast today. The 5 ways to well-being, boosting mental well-being. Let's boost it.
Our mental health is important. By looking after it, we can feel happier, more positive, and are better equipped to get the most out of life. Research shows there are 5 simple things we can do as part of our daily lives to boost our mental health and well-being. These are called the 5 ways to well-being.
Let's go!
Connect. Connect with those around you, with family, friends, colleagues and neighbours. Look to spend meaningful time with people each day.
Just be a normie, bro.
Instead of sending an email, talk to someone. Speak to someone new. Ask how someone's weekend was and really listen when they tell you. Arrange a catch-up with friends. Join a club or group of people who share a common interest. Put 5 minutes aside to find out how someone really is. Think of these connections as the cornerstone of your life and invest time in developing and strengthening them. Building these connections will support and enrich you every day.
Yeah, so obviously that's not really happening for a lot of us. I try, it's like if you can find something to do. Me, I play music, I'd love to be doing some sort of a music gig, but I don't know, that's rough these days, guys. Everything's a popularity contest. I personally think social media is kind of just destroying social stuff unless you're like a complete normie who just never stands out. I stand out a lot at this point. I've said a lot of stuff that makes me stand out. So yeah, it's a little bit tough for me to just seamlessly fit into the general social watering hole, but I wish people would try to understand. It's like, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. I just, I have strong beliefs and things that I stand behind, and we got each other, guys. It's trying to say that it's not enough to like connect with people on the internet, but we got each other. It's as simple as just like, if you're watching something cozy, let me know in the Discord, and we'll all take note. We'll be like, hey, that guy's watching this show. I'm watching this show. We're telling each other what shows we're watching. We're freaking friends, and we're connected. If you don't have connections in real life, that's not terrible. I talked to my mom today. Try to talk to people. Try to not be completely isolated, but I know it's easier said than done sometimes. 2, be active. We should all have this one. I know I got this one.
Be active. Look for ways to be active every day. Go for a walk or a run. Step outside. Stretch. Cycle.
Let's go.
Play a game. Do some gardening. Dance. Most importantly, discover a physical activity you enjoy and that suits your level of mobility and fitness. Being active every day causes changes in our brain, which can positively affect our mood. Exercising makes you feel good.
Literally just work out. Easy. We talk about that all the time. Take notice. What the hell could this mean?
Take notice. To take notice is to be present in the here and now. Pay attention to the world around you, nature, people, your thoughts and feelings.
Literally like the most NPC thing ever. Like you're like looking at a wall. Oh, it's a wall. You're looking at the sky. Whoa, look at the sky. It's the sky. I'm noticing. So basically just like stare straight forward, and whatever you see, notice whatever you're seeing. Whoa, a fire hydrant. I just walking down the street. Wow, fire hydrant. Whoa, I'm on a sidewalk. Cracks in the sidewalk. Hey, look, a bird. Just be aware. Just notice. You don't want to notice other kind of things. You don't want to notice the kind of things that Kanye is noticing. You don't want to notice the kind of things I've noticed in my other podcasts. You don't want to notice, like, kind of things that we notice around here. But look at the sky like this black woman and just be like, hey, look, it's the sky.
Be curious.
I'm curious. Whee!
Catch sight of the beautiful. Remark on the unusual. Notice the changing seasons.
It was summer, and now it's fall. Good job, buddy. It's fall right now, and it's gonna be winter soon. Yeah, that's right, buddy. You got a nice warm jacket? I got the one I had list. Okay, that's mean. That's mean. Yes, the seasons are changing. Wow. Now I feel better.
Savor the moment. Becoming more...
She's getting rained on. She's getting rained on. That doesn't look that comfortable, bro.
Aware of the present moment and reflecting on your experiences will help you appreciate what matters to you.
Is she okay, dude? This is kind of screwed up. Why is she getting rained on? Yes, keep learning. I'm going to try to get some extra reading done today. Low key, guys, I probably shouldn't be saying this. I think I'm not going to say it, but let's just say some of the stuff that I do that encourages me to not read as much, I might be slowing down on. Who knows? I'm playing it by ear. I might be trying to get off weed this weekend. We'll see how it goes. I'm relying on the carbs, man. I think I can do a lot through carbs. First and foremost, I do all things through Christ. Second foremost, I do things through carbs. Christ first, then carbs. But I'm feeling pretty confident with these carbs, baby. Anytime I want to smoke weed, I'll just carb up.
Keep learning. Keep learning is about learning new skills and information about topics that interest us. We can keep learning by trying something new, rediscovering an old interest, signing up for a course, fixing a bike, taking on a new responsibility at work, learning to play a musical instrument, trying a new recipe. Set a challenge you enjoy achieving. Learning can make you more confident.
Yeah, it's positive. It's positive if you're like learning a new instrument. Like if you're just now starting, I'm gonna pick up a new instrument. Wow, that's so positive. I've been playing drums for 20 years and I went to music school. Well, how did that work out for you? You got student loans? Yeah, they didn't really work out. Sounds like it was a waste of money. Yikes, dude, 20 years? How are you going to make money playing drums? It's not really such a positive thing when you've actually been doing it for 20 years. But if you start right now, if you started an instrument right now, like, wow, good for you, man. Good for you, dude. Anyway, I don't know. That's probably unnecessary. Just be careful. Be careful about starting that new instrument. You might get into it one day, and it might screw your life up, dude.
And boost your self-esteem. It can also be fun.
Give things away.
Give. Giving is about small acts of kindness for other people. Whether that be your time, patience, words, or a smile, the smallest act can count. Do something nice for a friend or a stranger. Thank someone. Smile.
Let's go!
Make someone a cup of tea. Sign up for volunteering. Donate to charity. Offer to help someone with a project. Ask a friend or someone you work with how they are and really listen to the answer. Giving back to others can create positive feelings and help us feel more satisfied with life. Seeing yourself and your happiness as linked to the wider community can be incredibly rewarding and create connections with the people around you.
Let's give it! Colonel Sanders is happy. If Colonel Sanders is happy, why can't we be happy, baby? Well, that was really special, guys. Let's give it. Comments are turned off. Now, why would you turn off these comments? This seemed pretty innocent. Notice things. Notice the butterflies. And CBS News, Mental Health Awareness Month. Therapist on the importance of talking about struggles. Let's talk it out, gang. Clearly, it's just another podcast today. It's not like I toned it down because I'm getting investigated by the Department of Homeland Security or anything. Let's go! This is what we always talk about. We're just trying to lift up our buddies. We're just trying to keep people happy here. The mission statement of Wolfgang, of which I am the leader, Reformed Stoic, this is all about increasing well-being for Christians who just want to be happy and feel good and experience high, elevated levels of well-being for extended periods of time. Baby, we all get down sometimes. But here at Wolf Friends, We help lift people up and improve people's confidence. Winners. Sometimes we notice things about the establishment, but hey, you know what? Everybody does, right? CBS Time, Mental Health Awareness Month. Therapist on the importance of talking about struggles.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
And on that point, we are drawing attention to just how common mental illnesses are here in the U.S. In fact, the CDC, which counts this kind of thing.
Geez, that's a little bit aggressive, dude. Right out the gate. Mental illness is very common. I mean, bro, we're watching right now. Tone it down a little bit.
Up says more than half of all Americans will be diagnosed with a mental illness or disorder at some point in their lifetime.
Wow, half of Americans are fucking mentally ill. Crazy, dude. Everybody's like just calling half of the country nutty. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. Half of the country is nutty. You're mentally ill. I think psychology is a mental illness. That's probably the most spicy thing I'm going to say all day, dude. I think psychology is a mental illness. I think it makes people feel powerful to, like, you know, be kind of like the handler of somebody's mind. It's not okay to think that. It's not okay to think this. You should think this. How do you see your childhood? Well, that's a mentally ill way to see your childhood. I just, you know, I think they need to tone it down a little bit. If half of the people feel a certain way, maybe the people aren't the problem. Maybe society's the problem.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has said that global prevalence of anxiety and depression increased by 25 percentage points during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic.
And joining us now is therapist and author of the Dear Therapist column at The Atlantic, Lori Gottlieb. She's also co-host of the Dear Therapist podcast and author of the book, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. Lori, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today. So, you know, let's start just about talking about the importance of Mental Health Awareness Month and having a set time to allow people to really acknowledge the prevalence of mental illnesses. So tell us how you're marking this month.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we talk about what we're going through because I think so many people who are struggling feel like they're struggling alone. So I'm giving people a challenge every week. And this week's challenge is I want them to really listen to somebody because I think that we need to learn not only to reach out, but how to listen when people do reach out to us.
Lori, there have been a number of high-profile suicides this year, as there are every year.
You see, guys, this is half of the country. This is the duality of our country. You're either a nice spiral, like the pedo symbol. These are good people, I guess. Or you're scribble, your brain's all scribbly. Your brain's all scribbly, dude. That's half of the population. You're not well. You think that you're, you know, realizing that this country is a sham, but you're not well. You're not well. You got all these paranoid conspiracy theories about the vaccine. You're just not well.
And I'd love to hear you talk about whether or not there's a connection between those public events and trends with people who are not celebrities.
Yeah, you know, I think that what happens is when you see this happen with celebrities, I think that people realize that something that they've been struggling with is not unique to them. And so these tragic events, I hope will help people to reach out when they need help. And I think that the fact that people are talking about the real...
Wow, Katy Perry's depressed. Big famous celebrities get depressed too. I feel so much better now.
The real struggles that celebrities are having just makes it people more able to reach out.
Hey, Lori, I remember on the morning show we had Congressman Jamie Raskin on who lost his son to suicide. And we asked him if he had any advice for parents. I knew this was an adult son, an adult child. And he said his one regret was, and he's since learned, that he should have been frank about the word suicide with his son. Rather than saying, "Are you okay?" he should have said, "Are you having thoughts of suicide?" Is that good advice? Is he on the right track there?
That's fantastic advice. People feel like if I bring up the word suicide, it will plant the idea in their head. That could not be farther from the truth. The truth is that it's a relief to people who are thinking about that because now they know that they're allowed to talk about it.
But what about a lot of parents who struggle, Lori, with the question about how to talk to their teens, for instance, about it? Because,
You know, we hear that there's such a thing as copycat suicides, right? That when it happens at a college or a high school, the fear is that other young people will follow suit. So how do you balance talking about it openly with making sure that, you know, other teenagers don't have that same idea?
Mm-hmm. People who are contemplating suicide are in a lot of pain. And I think that when someone opens up the conversation and uses the word suicide, people realize, oh, they understand how much pain I'm in and how dire this situation is. And they're generally very, very relieved, especially to talk to their parents about it, because teenagers don't know who to reach out to. And when they know they can trust their parent to handle the information and to help them, they're going to feel very relieved by that.
That's really great advice. Thank you, Lori. And then also, you know, with kids, but also with friends, there's a fine line between being encouraging and helping people, you know, tough it out or get back on their feet, and then when it becomes not encouragement because they've got more than just a one down day, it's something deeper. How does a person know the line there between helping a person's resilience and pointing them toward maybe they should talk to somebody, to use the title of your book?
I think that if somebody is struggling on an ongoing basis and it's not getting better, that they definitely should talk to someone. And there's no stigma around that at all. I think therapy is like getting a really good second opinion on your life from someone who's not already in your life. And whether you're struggling with something like suicidal thoughts, or you're feeling sad, or you're feeling anxious, whatever it is, there's no hierarchy of pain. If you are struggling with something, you should reach out and you should talk to someone. And sometimes that person is a therapist.
All right. Well, the book is called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. I'm glad we talked to you today, Lori.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Do I have any thoughts on this? Somebody was complaining earlier that I'm not giving my thoughts on the clips. Well, guess what, buddy? I'm going to give you my thoughts on this clip. This system wants men to kill themselves. The guys who are actually about something, the guys who recognize real ethics, you know, the guys that recognize, like, wow, there's objective good and there's objective bad, and it's taught to us by God through his word in the Bible, and then you measure up society and entertainment to the word of God, and you realize, wow, this entire system is anti-Christian. When you think that way and, you know, you take the Bible and you put it at the center of your life, these people want you to kill yourselves. So I certainly wouldn't listen to anything that they say. I would never, ever, ever go to a psychologist. You guys, I want well-being, okay? I want you to have well-being. When you're struggling, take it easy. Take it easy, man. You know, there's been times in my life where I read a lot. There was times in my life where every day I would read for maybe, like, I don't know, an hour or two at least, and, like, really keep up the pace and take good care of myself. And then there's been times when, you know, maybe smoke a little bit more weed and watch more TV and read less. You know, pace yourself, take things slow. Ultimately, you got to harden up, bro. And I feel like there are some people out there who are maybe just going to struggle, and it's a harsh reality. It means that, like, you're not hard. If you can't handle it, you're not hard, bro. And all of this psychology and like therapy, it's for women. It's for women. And look at all these women on antidepressants, dude. As soon as they get sad, which they're going to, after they get dicked down a few times in college by some fucking cocky asshole, they're going to go, you know, seek psychiatry, and they're going to tell them they got anxiety or depression, and they're going to take the fucking pills, and they're not going to question it. And that's just the way it is, bro. Everybody's looking for an easy out. The reality is that, like, you're not really where you want to be in life, so you're not happy, and that's the problem. You know, it's like I'm having feelings of unhappiness. I can tell you when I talked to a therapist when I was 20 and I went down this whole bad experience, this dark hole, I was having a hard time. Like, I was around really negative people who shouldn't have been in my life. A lot of people were disrespecting me openly and talking shit to me, and it was a bad time, and I didn't need to take a pill to make it go away. I needed to get these people out of my fucking life, bro. I needed to get these people out of my life to make it go away. You know, when you don't take care of the problem and then you just treat the side effects, you're going to end up with more problems. So you got to take it upon yourself to improve your well-being, guys. You got to ask yourself right now, how happy am I overall? Do something about it, bro. If you got to eat more chocolate fudge sundaes, eat more chocolate fudge sundaes. Or if the problem is that you're not healthy and you want to work out more, eat less chocolate fudge sundaes. You know, like, figure it out, man. You're either not pushing yourself hard enough or you're pushing yourself too hard. If you have some people in your life, great. I wouldn't overemphasize it. They want people to be scared. Let me tell you what, guys. This shit about, like, isolation driving you insane, you might need to not worry about that so much, all right? I'm a pretty isolated dude, and I'm out here taking good care of myself, making gains in the gym, making gains on the drums, reading, learning, improving, finding greater inner peace, finding greater understanding. I'm figuring all that out while I'm quote-unquote isolated, so don't let these people bully you, bruh. We're going to make it. We're all going to make it around here. Let's talk about how many mental illnesses has been caused by financial burden. That goes into the question if struggle is inherently good for society or not. That's a debate within a debate. Debateception. Okay, quick little article here. This is the NHS.UK. 5 steps to mental well-being. Evidence suggests there are 5 steps that you can take to improve your mental health and well-being. Connect with other people. Good relationships are important. To help you build a sense of belonging and self-worth, give you an opportunity to share positive experiences, provide emotional support, and allow you to support others. Be physically active, work out, raise your self-esteem, help you get to set goals or challenges and achieve them, causing chemical changes in your brain, which can help to positively change your mood. Best antidepressant, best natural mental health medicine is to be physically active. Push yourself hard, boyos. Learn new skills. Research shows that learning new skills can also improve your mental well-being by boosting self-confidence, raising self-esteem, helping you to build a sense of purpose, helping you to connect with others. Improve yourself every day. Give to others. Research suggests that acts of giving and kindness can help improve your mental well-being by creating positive feelings and a sense of reward, giving you a feeling of purpose and self-worth, helping you connect with other people. Pay attention to the present moment. So this is all the stuff that the other video said. These are like the freaking official guidelines. I'm pretty sure Rick was getting gang stalked by these people, the NHS. A lot of these guys don't care about you, dude. Like, this is for normies who don't know shit about shit. And it's like, oh, I'm a wage slave. And for some reason, I feel empty inside. And I feel like I'm being lied to. And, oh, just notice things like the sky and chipmunks and the color of the concrete. Not who rules over you. Not like how everything is anti-Christian and meant to fucking ruin you. Just take it easy out there, guys. Just fucking take it easy out there. We got one more video. Pretty meat and potatoes today. I'm gonna try to take it easy this weekend, and I think I might be trying to get off weed. Here we go. Christian advice for mental health, anxiety, depression, body image, stress, worry, ED, and more. Okay, wow.
Hey guys, it's Mia. Welcome to my channel. As you guys know, I've been very open about my mental health struggles. When I was little, I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and OCD. And then about a year ago, I was diagnosed.
Wow, she's really quiet. Alrighty then.
With anorexia, so I have my fair share of mental health problems. But the day I decided...
Alright, you're fired. She's fired for being too quiet. Figure it out. Christian well-being. A look at mental health in the Bible. All right, let's just do a quick one, guys. A look at mental health in the Bible.
You look to the book of Luke in terms of this development of the holistic human experience. Tie that scripture together for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously virtually every Christian believes that we are more than physical, and they certainly recognize that we are physical. But oftentimes we think of ourselves as just physical, and maybe one day we'll just kind of poof into the clouds or something. But Luke 2:52 talks about Jesus growing, and it says Jesus grew in wisdom and strength and in favor with God and man. And I see that really as kind of the 4 aspects of a human. We're spiritual, We're mental, we're physical, and we're relational. You even see that in Mark, where Jesus is quoting Deuteronomy, and he talks about the physical and non-physical aspects of our being. He says, you need to, focus on God with all of that, and you need to love your neighbor as yourself, because that's the relationship part. So when a person is struggling with a mental health problem, or a family is trying to deal with a person with a mental health problem, they're affected at all those levels: spiritual, mental, physical, and relational. And the church has an opportunity to engage them at all of those levels and assist them at all those levels, which is something that the secular community simply cannot do.
Yeah, it's so true. This may be the most interesting of the questions I've been able to ask. And when you look at Scripture, so often we'll say, there's a lot of dysfunction in the Bible in human beings. When you look at Scripture as a neuroscientist, and you look at some of the characters there, what do you see? What diagnosis do you make?
It's a hard thing, again, to look back through time and through culture and see that. But if you just come at the Bible with, kind of take your spiritual blinders off for a moment, the Bible is full of incredible observations, and incredible observations of behavior, the good and the bad.
Right.
As people like to say, the warts, and what you see are mental health symptoms throughout the entire Bible, which you can clump together and kind of say, well, if this person was alive today and showed these symptoms, they would be looked at in this context or that context. So, for instance, you look at someone like King David, who we have mythologized into almost a kind of a Greek mythological character. He is a disaster throughout his life. Most of his psalms are psalms of lament. He struggles with depression. He shows all the signs of depression. I mean, there's no person in the Bible that we have more information about than that individual. His writings are there. Historical documents about him are there. Discussions from other people about him are there. And clearly the man struggles with depression. Yet he is a man after God's own heart. And in the midst of that depression, in a time in which there was no treatment, he desperately seeks out God. And God comes close. And so I think, we look at someone like King David, and it's a great opportunity to give someone with depression a lot of encouragement to say, look, even this great man of God struggle, or Job with trauma, or Samson with antisocial behavior. He was a horrible, horrible individual.
Samson, that's a good...
He's a horrible, or Gomer with struggling with the symptoms of what looked like kind of a borderline personality disorder. There's a lot of individuals throughout, and I'm not saying they had those disorders. I'm saying that the symptoms or the descriptions of the behaviors and thoughts they have are there. But if nothing else, look at Jesus himself. On 4 different occasions, Jesus is thought to be mad. People consider him insane or mad. The Pharisees do. And at that time, madness and demonic possession were equated. And so his family has said, come get him. He's insane. He has a demon. So our Savior, just like Hebrews tells us, understands what it is to have the stigma of mental illness thrown upon you. And he can be an encouragement and an empowerment during that recovery.
Who is responsible for that quote? In a world gone mad, a sane man will be called insane. I want to say Mark Twain. A lot of like generic, really popular quotes come from Mark Twain. Whoever said it, those are words of wisdom, guys. I have a lot of opinions. I've learned a lot these last few years, like a lot about some very profound topics. It feels like clown world. It feels like my life has just changed so radically over the last couple of years, and it's been hard for me to like catch up with reality. I'm doing a lot of positive things, I'm better at drums than I've ever been. I'm getting pretty close to the best shape of my life. Really enjoying my diet, feeling like I got lots of energy. I'm just not really sure what my place is in the world right now. I certainly don't know what my place in my hometown is. And I'm becoming aware that there's a lot of individuals in seemingly high places here around town who have caught wind of my channel. And I'm just a very opinionated guy. I am an intellectual. We are intellectuals around here, and we're paying attention. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to try to stay off of the air this weekend, you guys. And I think it's about time for me to try to breathe some new life into the podcast somehow. I don't know. I feel like things are getting a little bit stale. Maybe people could like recommend more topics in the Discord. A lot of negative people around. A lot of people who just sit here and wait for an opportunity to talk shit, but we just know what's going on, man. Around here, we know what's going on. We know what this country's about. People on the news talk about the importance of mental health and well-being and to be open about suicide and whatnot, but let's get real, dude. The system is what's driving these guys to suicide. The way things are in this country is what's driving guys to suicide. A lot of people ain't wanted anymore. The system don't want all kinds of men anymore. The system's become something very negative. It's been something negative for a very long time. There's a lot of negative people out there, and I truly believe that people who are like genuinely here, you know, people who have genuinely taken a part in this group, you're not just some like weirdo who's paid to be here and try to make me uncomfortable. I think you guys are very special people. I think we're all very special people. Very serious things are happening in the world right now. This is a time of change. They're transitioning us to this new way of life. Have self-worth, man. Have self-worth. Know your value. Don't let other people try to lower your value in your eyes, because these people are miserable, man. These people are miserable. People like me are a reminder that they sold out to the devil. A lot of these people are disgusted really at themselves. They have to lash out at me because I'm a reminder that they're fucking taking money to harass American citizens. They're in the wrong. They're in the wrong. Over here, we expose corruption. We hold the system accountable. We know that these people are working against God and working against God's people. I am a reminder that these people have done wrong, that they're working with the devil, that they're working against God's people. And I feel great. I feel great about what I've contributed. And I'm going to try to remind myself to continue to feel great about what I've contributed, because there's a lot of people who are trying to make me feel bad about it because they know they're scum. They know they're scum. They've built their entire life off of being criminals. That's how they feed their kids, being criminals. These people are parasites on the country. They suck up tax money to harass people. They sold their souls. That's right. Material success is not the mark of competence. It's not the mark of merit. We do not live in a meritocracy. So this weekend, my friends, do your thing. Stay positive out there, and then, you know, just silently remind yourself sometimes that you're with something good. You're rocking with something good, man. We're with something good out here. There's so much negativity out there, man, and I've always inherently been a nice person, and I know a lot of people don't understand that because I've given a lot of ugly reactions. But make no mistake about it, I give ugly reactions because I'm inherently a good person. I'm disgusted by what some people in this world are trying to get away with. So with that, friendos, I bid you adieu. God bless you. And I'll see you Monday. I'm gonna push myself to not stream the entire weekend. I will see you guys Monday for coffee and a